I started this year really lost. My clearest initial question was, can graphic design be sensory? From there, I explored a number of techniques mainly devoted to documentation. I created a short watercolor animation documenting the fires in California and how I felt about it. I remember when it started. On Wednesday, I looked at my blinds, and a sinister orange crept through the slats. I tried to capture the image on my phone, but the camera made everything appear normal with blue skies. This project explored emotional data and how to convey it. As I tried over and over to recreate the success of this piece, I realized my work wasn't about narrative or data. This turning point occurred when I made this tiny book that sought to evoke the feeling of the journal enclosed. For this book, I created digital paintings to evoke the feeling of driving in the rain. I combined those images with text and captions to tell a story and give the feeling of that story at the same time. From there, I created a series of phenomenological studies and micro-studies to explore the line between contextual visual information and abstraction. When does an image become blurry enough to allow the viewer to enter a space, but not too blurry where they cannot relate at all? When I say phenomenological, I mean the place of experience. It is the study of how we experience the world before we interpret the world. How we see the color red before we know the word red. It is inextricably linked to ourselves as experienced in the body. It is the essence of a thing, place, or moment. The subjective view of what makes a moment unique. These studies expanded to include sound. Even in sound work, there can be contextual clues such as the car door closing or voices on the radio. So I investigated how much sonic context is needed in a phenomenological study and when and where it is needed. As preparation for this final piece, I limited the duration of the studies produced to closely examine the effects of the abstracted and contextual forms presented. I then took the more successful parts of all of these studies and transitioned them into a long-form video. The guiding principles for each transition were formally based. I would let the shape, light, and placement from one clip guide me into which one comes next. I experimented with letting the sound guide the visuals, but I found I was too led by them. Working with the visuals first and then sound allowed me to think more abstractly. I kept stripping away the context of the car to get to as little needed as possible. The purpose was to find which visuals, and later audio, created a space for the viewer to become immersed. This is to say that the viewer becomes a participant and brings their own context to the work. The work itself sets up a world or landscape for the participant to inhabit, but the prescriptiveness ends there. In my final piece, I challenged myself to find this point of entry between abstraction and context via multiple channels, sound, and text. This is an excerpt from that piece.
actually saw a big stick by the desk. What is it, folks? That is disgusting. When it rains, we get little allergies to the pollens come out. It's raining recently in California. But that's not your issue. Dr. Fauci is concerned over surge in European COVID-19 cases in the United States will be shortly right behind it, as we have been kind of trailing. Oh, Italy's the worst. Oh, the United States is the worst. We've been kind of following the footsteps of COVID. Yeah. Some people are saying, oh, they're just silly Europeans. Fauci said, we may get that. Another surge because we take a look.
In this work, the sandbox text serves as a metaphor for the line of inquiry my thesis has followed. It is a participatory space that invites you to bring your own ideas and context. It is also a physical space that engages your sense of touch, sight, hearing, and smell. Similarly, this piece seeks to engage the eyes, the ears, and the mind through visuals, audio, and text. It does not seek to impart a specific emotion, as doing so is difficult to measure. Instead, it creates a space that viewers can become immersed in and draw their own conclusions with their own context. Thank you for watching my final thesis presentation. If you would like to experience these works in their full form, please visit vimeo.com/rgardea.